Hey, you're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Shawn Wilkie. I'm sitting here with a close friend of mine. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and our special guest for today, Ivan?
Hi, I'm Ivan Zach, and we're here to introduce you to Dr. Frank Marchell. So I've met Frank a couple months ago in a hospital not too far from Portland, Maine, and I was quite amazed with the way he runs the clinic and quite a few changes that he made. So we decided to invite him to this episode. We're going to dive in with just sort of a couple questions to begin with.
So I guess to start, Ivan and Frank, what I wanted to say is, we kind of picked a topic for this, which is kind of staff satisfaction linked to productivity. And Frank, what I know about you is you're a bit of a wonder. Ivan came in, we actually talked about you on the first episode, so it's really exciting that we're able to get you. He described you almost as like an orchestra conductor sitting behind a computer. He said he was very confused and amazed when he saw you actually operate. So, that's what is really exciting for me to have you here. And so, Ivan, wanted you jump in and pepper this guy with some questions.
Yeah. So I guess.
Hey, let me just say one thing right now. Just make a quick correction. It's everybody here, Ivan. It's not just me. I've provided the tools for everybody to do this, right? So I just want to make that clear. I don't want to take any of the credit for what leads to our success here, because it really is everybody.
What do they say about the great leaders? They share the success and they take the responsibility over.
I take more pleasure in seeing my staff succeed. I'm very proud of them.
Well, that's what we're about here to do, is to discover how did you get there. So I think that the topic is sort of, and I was trying to look at the angle of veterinary medicine and how we run the hospitals from efficiency and productivity. And this is where I kind of researching that area right now. And I was thinking that, especially with SmartFlow, I was thinking that by improving efficiency, you will make the hospitals better. But it seems like people are not really interested in efficiency, productivity, and money making. They're more interested in the flow in the hospital and the balance sort of lifestyle and the right leadership. So I wanted to kind of open it up, Frank, with you and just explain to us, what have you done in your hospital that you think is different?
I mean, and it's hard to explain what happens at our hospital in words, because it's real. You actually have to see how people coordinate their work together. We're a very small hospital. We have computer stations adjacent to each other. We have very few walls. We can see each other. So it's more like a newsroom where you have maybe 5 or 6 reporters sitting at their desk with their phones, but we're not taking news stories in, we're taking animals in. And then when they come in, we immediately know what's coming in and we know who's going to do it, and we can help each other out and get people right into rooms. We only have 2 exam rooms, but we have 2, and Ivan can explain this a little bit better, but we have 2 sort of alcove areas in our store now where we see big dogs and fearful dogs. So they don't even go in a room, but they just go in an area and they can see us approach them, so they're not apprehensive. But I think one of the key things here is everybody can see what everybody else is doing. The only place where people disappear and you can't see what they're doing is out back, but now we have cameras out there, so we can just look at our iPhones and see what's going on out back, and if they need help, jump in. So I really think the key, and it's just what I think, is that we've removed barriers, we've reduced handoffs, and we can actually capture all of the information that we need right where we're standing. We've got 13 computers and we've got 6 people on at a time, plus a veterinarian. So, and it's not that everybody needs their own computer. They really need a computer right where they're standing at the time that they talk to the person or run a lab test or take a phone call. And if you don't get that information into the computer system right at that moment, and then you go do something else, half the time you forget to do it. So, I mean, that's what's nice about IDEX equipment. They put it right back into VetConnect Plus and Ivan's program. It does a lot of the math for you. But, I mean, it really is, like Ivan said, it's more of a Wizard of Oz thing. We've added a lot of automation tools on top of Avamon.
Frank, that's really, really amazing. There's a couple of things that I wanted to dig into with you a little bit more. So one is this idea that everybody sees what everybody else is doing. It's really
Yep.
interesting because in the tech industry and the software industry that I've been a part of, we have this thing called the Daily Standup, where everybody comes in, talks about what they're working on for the day. And it sounds like you've kind of taken that idea of kind of like this connectiveness inter-staff and made sure that people don't even need to really talk about things because they can see what's happening
Yes.
with their
Right.
colleagues.
Yep.
And so
Yeah.
what impact has that little
Yeah,
tiny thing had?
we don't have to call for help. If the staff is coordinated, they see you need help and they're right there. I mean, we have one office manager who is sort of, I call her the Sarah Connor of our practice. She's the one, if people are kind of want to give up and they're sluggish, she comes over and says, come on, we can get this done. So you need a person like that. And she really keeps everybody going in a good way. But everybody understands that they work for each other. And they understand that they're working for each other to work for the patient and the client.
So speaking of working for each other, you told me about the pirate code in the past, and can you expand a
Yeah.
little bit on that and just explain what does that mean to the listeners?
Well, the whole pirate culture didn't last very long. Culturally, it's a lot of movies have been made about it, but it was kind of short-lived in this area. But essentially, the pirates got all their employees from multiple places. And a lot of times it was people escaping servitude or they had no job. But, you're all on a boat. You all have to work together. You're stuck close to each other. And to get paid, it's kind of very upfront. Whatever it is that you earned in your capture, lay that out on the deck, and then everybody divides it up. And then everybody gets to pick a share. And what I was telling Ivan, that what we do here is the staff gets paid a percent of the gross, 20%. And I don't care if it's 3 people that do it or 10 people that do it, they still get that. And they understand that. So they work hard so they do not have to hire a new employee. Most clinics, I think, as busy as we are, would probably have close to twice as much staff. But my staff understands, no, we can get this done. We don't need more people. We just need more efficiency and we need more teamwork. And so they're all making probably close to 50% more than the typical person in their role in this area. But I can get those numbers for you. I have no idea what anybody makes. Jen does it all. I haven't seen payroll in 10 years.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there's a couple of things that I want to zone in on quickly, Frank. One is this idea of bad apples spoiling the bunch. And it sounds like you don't have any bad apples, but I wonder if you could take us through if you've had a bad apple. And it sounds like you've got such a cohesive team. And my personal experience, when a bad apple comes into a really cohesive team, they get spit out really quickly. Have you guys had experience with that in the past?
Yeah, we really haven't hired many people in years. I mean, Jen's been here 23 years, March 20 years. It's just, we're not good at hiring because we have good hires, but we've only hired like 5 people in the past 20 years. Don't ask me about hiring, but I can tell you a good story about bad apples. And we had a person that we hired, and this was like 15 years ago, and she came to work 15 minutes late every day for the first week. And on day 5, Jen said, hey, come with me. We got to go outside and talk to Kelly. I said, okay. And so she pulled in 15 minutes late, and Jen knocked on her window and said, hey, Kelly, I just wanted to let you know, I appreciate you coming, but it's not working out. We really needed you here on time, and I'm going to send you a check, but, good luck. I'm sure you'll fit in someplace else. And so I said, wait a minute, Jen, what just happened there? Did we just fire Kelly? And she said, yep, it wasn't working out, and we knew it wasn't going to work out. I didn't even know we were firing. I thought I was going out to help her carry something in from outside.
Wow.
And that's only happened a couple times. But they're just very good at sizing people up. They make people better. The core of the team here sort of sucks in the culture. And I know what you mean about the bad apples, but I don't really know how to deal with that because, I mean, everybody will have a bad moment or get upset or something, but that's not a bad apple. And, we have our moments during the day, and if there's an elephant in the room, we talk about it. Like, we don't dance around issues. If there's a problem that we see, I say, well, hey, I can see something's going on here. What do we have to solve right now? The longer you let somebody stew about something that's bugging them, it gets worse. It doesn't go away. Ivan hasn't been at our practice long enough to see the dirty part.
What I'm hearing is that this pirate code is an action. Actually, I think it's a combination in your hospital where you share the rewards and the fact
Yes.
that the people are commissioned. I know it's a controversial area in the veterinary industry, and not everybody wants to share the commission, but you really share the success, and then people take responsibility and accountability for their actions. And then when someone is not performing and it's a shared success, then if someone is not helping, then everybody will point out that person pretty quickly. So it's still a self-eliminating system. I think that's
right.
Quite interesting to me.
It's not perfect though, Ivan. I don't want you to. I don't want anybody thinking, oh, you'll just do this and it's going to be Shangri-La. Everybody will get along.
Well, no, I think it's a combination. What you were, and there's a couple sort of other two secret words that I wanted to ask you about. So you showed me your diagram of sort of the one snapshot of how to run the leadership. And I wanted to ask you to expand on the toilet paper concept and the egg carton concept.
Yeah. Well, so all of us that have businesses, we didn't start out running businesses. So you read books about business. So you get everybody's experience and ideas about what they think businesses are. And after a while, I know you guys have read those books and they all start just repeating themselves. And then you realize that some of these guys actually never ran a business. They just wrote a book about running a business. Then I start getting a little bit skeptical. Wait a minute, this guy never was really in the trenches with everybody doing exactly what it was we're doing. And they're giving us advice that is really more theoretical, like if you become more efficient or more cohesive. So what are those two things? I work mostly with women. I've got a partner as a man. And I use sport metaphors and they just zoom over their heads. None of them really are into sports, but they've all worked in restaurants. So we use restaurant metaphors. But what I've been talking about is I always can tell when we have a problem is when I hear the staff saying, hey, does somebody know where this is? Or do you know who did that? And it's like, wait a minute, that's not good because for one thing, that person may not even be here now. So I said, in our system, we have to have a place for everything. And so we actually have areas of the hospital mapped out, and I call that the Egg Carton Rule. They have it drawn on the tables. A sample comes in to be run. It starts in one little box. It goes to the next one, and I'm sure other hospitals have this. But when you see something sitting there, you know what needs to be done with it. And you also know if something's missing from an exam room or out back, because everything has a circle around where it's supposed to be. So if there's a bottle that's supposed to be there and it's gone, you didn't have that circle there, you wouldn't remember there's a bottle that's supposed to be there. But the people stocking there, they can say, oh yeah, I'm missing an egg. There's supposed to be 12 eggs in this carton. There's only 11. But if you just had 11 eggs in a bowl, you wouldn't know you're missing the 12th egg unless you counted them all. Does that make sense?
Yeah, didn't you tell me that they use that rule in jail? So the utensils.
Yeah. Well, the idea I got for mapping everything out in the kitchens in prisons, they have all of the ladles and the knives and whatever it is they're using actually is outlined exactly for the size of the utensil, because somebody might break off 2 inches of a ladle to make a knife. At least this is the article I read.
So Frank, one of the things that I've done in the past is run a computer repair business. And after buying the 1,000th screwdriver, I did the exact same thing in our service departments. We had an outline of exactly the type of screwdriver, the pliers, and it worked quite well. Like, it was like people knew it was physically missing.
Shawn, this isn't even my idea. We did this in shop class in high school.
Awesome. The same thing as the computer store.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, once you start having tools that you need and information that you need to know where to find it and where to put it. Otherwise, it's an Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So the two other things I want to dig into with you, Frank, specifically around technology. So I've already picked up on the fact that you've got double the amount of computers than you do people. And I've heard that you do that to reduce the time required to get to technology. You want computers available to people wherever they're at in the hospital, and all of those things count. I remember working with radiology teams and the team at IDEX actually, and they said, our big challenge is we want to reduce the number of seconds that these radiologists are reading these reports. So whatever we can do, give them a third screen, or can you specifically dig into like the efficiencies that you found and maybe even talk about the technology that you use on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, yeah. And in fact, I'm just going to throw this out right now. What you really need to do is come down and watch the show. And in fact, you don't have to come down and watch the show. I can give you the password to the cameras. Ivan has the passwords to them, and only because, again, it's like me telling somebody how to hit a baseball. And now you really have to put the bat in your hands and swing it and get a feel for it. I'll just outline basically what it is that we have found. And if you have to stand and wait to get to a computer, you're wasting time. You're not getting that time back. Ivan's a time motion guy, just like I am. So I've actually timed with the cameras. I've timed everybody, and I know how long they sit at a place. I know how long it takes to review a record. And what used to take, maybe 2 to 3 minutes when I come out of an exam to write up a record and write up the prescriptions, and then to put follow-ups in, and then to schedule contacts with the owner. So it used to take 2 to 3 minutes, but now it's close to 30 to 40 seconds. And that's just through the automation tools and having everything pre-written. And also it's just a lot of experience. I know buttons to push. And Ivan can tell you that what we've done is we've sort of automated the keyboard. So there's a lot of programs out there to do that. There's auto hotkeys, but any of them will work. It's just they're a little bit tedious to learn. But once you learn them, then it's exponential. And everybody has their own station. Everybody has their own macros for getting their work done. And it's just to be more efficient, more accurate. And then you have more time to do other things like talk to the people.
Without giving away too much secret, but I want to describe just verbally in what I've seen you do with the programs that you had. So Frank stitched together, he has 3 screens, which I thought was amazing. The more screens, the better. And he really was operating with his, I believe you have Avimark as a central system. And then he stitched it to a Thunderbird mail application, which I believe is not supported anymore. So we're not talking sophisticated stuff here. It's just how you use it. And then also Google Voice, I think.
Google Voice,
which you use for text messaging and emails. And then everything that he does, what I was amazed with, the client communication tool seems to be the most important topic in the technology right now in veterinary medicine. And we're all looking for these new and the greatest, applications. And then you literally took a sewing machine and put a Porsche engine on it. This is how we see it. You basically connected 3 outdated and not supported technologies, and now you're pulling the revenue, which is time and a half more than anybody else I've seen in the industry, and including your new vets. I mean, I don't know if it's a secret or not to share how much revenue one vet started bringing on the day 2 when she came in, but you told me the number. I mean, that's just crazy for one person.
That goes back to the very first thing I said. It's the system, it's the staff, and we should be able to put most people in and get them up to speed quickly. And we're just fixing the problems every day, Ivan. Yesterday, at the end of the day, Leslie left a message for me. I contacted an owner with some results. We used the primary email, Well, this guy wanted us not to contact him there. He wanted us to text him, and that was buried in some note in the record someplace, and I didn't find it. I don't have time to go read every note looking for something I don't even know that's there. So this morning, I got to work, and I wrote a macro such that as soon as they open up a follow-up window, it pops up a choice of 6 things. Text the owner, call the owner, email the owner. Text the spouse, call the spouse, email the spouse. And you just click on that, and that automatically puts it in a subject that's right on top of our to-do list, so it doesn't get buried anyplace. And it's a very simple solution.
Frank, if you ever get bored as a veterinarian, me and Ivan are both thinking about starting new technology companies. We don't know what we're going to do. But if you ever get bored, you want to work with us.
Ivan, this is my pitch.
Yeah, I said
I'm waiting for Ivan to hire me.
I did say that we need to digitalize Frank. That's really what I think. One thing that's interesting, and that kind of links back to burnout and sophistication. What I've seen in especially in the consolidator industry, in order to increase the efficiency or productivity, what a lot of consolidators do, they consolidate and then change the technology. And technology changed, being a smartphone for the last 6 years, I realized that you can come up with the best tool on earth, but how do you make people change?
Yeah.
So when you just hired a new vet, and she was plugged in right into the system. She enjoyed it.
Yep.
Do you have any sort of secret of change management, or is it the right person that you're choosing, or is it younger vets that like technology? How did you choose a person that will adapt things?
Yeah, no, so I don't have enough experience with that. I've got very few numbers, but I will tell you that when we're working on the system here, everybody, don't get worried. I'm going to stand behind you. I got to see how you use it, because the way I use the system is different than they use it. Their needs are different than my needs. And I tell them, I'm doing this so I can make your job easier. And that's why this morning I got here and I wrote that little section of code just before you called, and I put it on the front receptionist computer. And as long as you're working to make their life easier, they don't mind change. If you think your ideas are going to make their life easier, you got a problem, because you got to be there next to them. You got to see what they're doing. You got to identify their problem, because sometimes people say, Frank, I got a problem with this. My first answer is, all right, let me see what you're trying to do. I don't listen to what they tell me and think I'm going to come up with a solution. And I think that's a big problem with computer programmers trying to make a program for veterinarians when they don't know what it is we actually do minute by minute. And I went up to IDEX once, and Estes invited me up there to talk to some programmers. I thought I was going to talk to 2 or 3 programmers. I got in a room. They had 60 people. And I said, Estes, what are we in? Am I going to listen to a lecture here? What's going on? I said, no, these are the programmers that I want you to talk to.
You are the lecturer.
I said, well, wait. I said, wait a minute. You got 60 programmers? He said, yeah. And Cornerstone still runs the way it runs? And he said, yeah. I said, all right, let me ask a couple questions. I said, all right, raise your hand if you've been in a hospital. All 60 hands go up. I said, leave your hand up if you've been in a hospital for a whole day. Half of them come down. Leave your hand up if you've been in a hospital for a week. And there was one hand up at the end of that. And I'm going, all right, here's your problem, you guys. You don't even know the game that we're playing. So you're not solving all of the very granular problems that we have. You're providing us with a database and fill in some boxes and it works, but you don't realize that's 25 clicks to just record the temperature or to open this up or to go look. It's like, we don't have that kind of time. We want the information just to pop up in front of us, or to at least find the field where we have to enter it. And that's what we've done. We've integrated a number of different tools. I mean, we use Evernote. I love IDEX Vet Connect because we can just click on the animal's chart and it goes right to their Vet Connect results. Ivan can explain that too, yeah.
Yeah,
And then we
Frank, one of
also,
the things I wanted to dig into a little bit was this idea of change management. It's so funny because one of the things that I've done in my past is we integrated email systems for the biggest companies in the world. And I
yeah,
remember we were doing this email migration from Microsoft Outlook to Google Apps. It was for a company that had over 8,000 employees. And the CIO of that company went out and did the training with us. And I learned something so impactful that day. He's like, all you have to do is tell them what's in it for them. Start with
right.
a personalized approach for them. Show
Yeah,
them the benefits that they're going to get, ask them about their struggles, and try to relate the things that you'll be solving. And that stayed with me forever, right? The ability to kind of talk to the person as if you have something
yeah,
for them to gain, that you're going to
yeah,
help them reduce the number of spam emails they get, or whatever it
yeah,
is with the
yeah.
specific technology that you're using. I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, I think what really is key here at our little facility, our N of one, our little tiny group, is that we're all willing to solve each other's problems. And when we have a frustration, I always identify that as a positive thing. You guys are frustrated with that. All right, but we can fix that. That's an opportunity. But before I fix it, I really need to understand better what it is you guys are having a problem with. And I mean, I got more things to fix, and I've got a list of projects that I could stop practicing and just keep fixing these problems and making the system better and better. And Ivan, for what little he's been here and how much we do in a short time, I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying there's an opportunity to be even 25 or 30% more efficient than we are now without raising our cortisol levels, without being stressed out, without burning out. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's worked hard. They got a lot of work done. They're going home, but they actually made a decent salary. And if I could design the world differently, I wouldn't have capitalism and I wouldn't have socialism of everything. That's not the way it works. I've got 2 employees whose kids are going to college. They need money. They want more money. And it's not a bad thing to work efficiently as long as you're charging what the market is charging. You just have to be twice as efficient to make twice as much. And it's
Yeah.
there. It's there
Yeah.
for any practice.
I think that all we're talking about here, I was just frank. It was, I wish maybe next year you'll be interested to go. I just went to a healthcare summit on implementation of lean thinking in healthcare. And I was trying to find out what are they doing in healthcare for sort of improvement of efficiency. And what they found out is that it's more about allowing people to make the changes. And I think that that's what you're doing in your hospital.
Yes.
A lot of things that we
Right.
touched on, they're actually described. You remember I sent you a sort of a pre-publishing version of the Lean Vets. It's
Yeah.
written. I'm
Yeah.
here for
Right.
Manuel
Yeah.
Ponsford. He's a DVM and an author of Lean Vets book, which I think is coming soon to publishing. And all we're talking about here, it's actually a lot of the lean methodology. It's sort of finding out the outcome and then mapping your processes to outcome. It's the pool concept where you're not pushing next task to next person, but everybody knows what's going on. And then communication. Those are the sort of main tools, and they've had a really great success in healthcare. I think that the lack of centralization right now is a bit of a challenge, because even if you're sort of a unicorn of a practice where you do this doesn't have any impact on the industry overall. And I think that's a very
Yeah.
interesting area,
Right.
especially with the raising concerns about burnout and suicide. Every classmate I talk to from the vet school, probably 80% of my classmates, they don't want to do it anymore because it's just not fun. It's
Yeah.
frustrating. We're running in circles and circles don't progress. You're
Yeah.
just not progressing forward. You just keep doing the same thing over and over and making more of it. It just doesn't help. So I think that
Yeah.
what you're doing there is exceptional. I think that the combination of that with technology that you put together, you're just proving the concept that it's not about the tools, it's about creating the environment that is willing to change, and that the learning curve then becomes just easier. And on top of that, you're rewarding people. So there's incentives, and incentives are aligned on both ends. You don't even know what you're paying people, but they're happy. So everybody
Yeah.
is rewarded. So I think it's just fascinating. When you look at all the sort of things that you implemented there, it's a combination of quite a few frameworks with technology. So kudos to
Yeah.
you.
Right. And, Ivan, it's everybody. Nobody deserves more credit than anybody else for what's happened here. I'm just really proud of everybody here, and I tell them that.
It's such a hallmark of a passionate and thoughtful leader, to give credit to the people around you. I've read all the business books too, and you hear that over and over again. And I share that too, and I know Ivan does as well. When the team gets something right, it makes me feel unbelievable. I've got a question for you. You've read all these books. You've done all of this stuff. Our listeners out there, they're listening to figure out how to be maybe more innovative or more productive. Do you have some recommendations on books or anything that people should watch or do to help them get a handle on their business?
I really don't want to give people advice, but I'm happy. I went and talked to my son's. He graduated from WSU this year. He's going to be working up in Portland. A couple of years ago, I went out to see him at the school, and I talked to his business class. And I kind of did a lecture, what you're asking. And I just basically said, look, I will tell you, I've read all the books I've gone to the lectures you guys have in the business group. And it's very useful. It's good. It's like Eisenhower. The planning part is good, but as soon as the day starts, all that planning goes away, because now you got the person who just walked in with the laceration, and you get a couple phone calls. You can't plan for the type of experience a busy veterinary practice has every day. And I just talk to them about the way you got to be flexible. Don't blame people when something goes wrong. You use the Toyota method, ask why 5 times, find out the root problem, understand what the books mean by fundamental attribution error, which again is just basically, don't jump and blame a person for a problem. It's usually the system that made the problem occur, and the person just happened to be there. Deming was the same way, the guy who developed the Toyota method. I mean, we have a bunch of simple rules, and I have a little diagram that Ivan has, and it can fit on one page, and it's a circle, and there's 4 quadrants to it. You're either working efficiently, waiting to work, and those are okay. Then you have working inefficiently. That's where I think most people are. They're working really hard, but it's taking them twice as long, and they're looking for stuff, and you don't have the information you need pre-written. You don't have handouts for owners. You don't have follow-ups automated ad nauseum. So it takes 2 to 3 times more effort, and you're more stressed out because you're not sure if you really accomplished everything that you needed to do. So I think that's where most veterinary practices are, and they're working hard, and that's why they're tired of it, because it's not like they're winning the game. If you're working hard, but everything works well and you get everything done and there's no glitches, my staff, it's like, that was cool. We just saw 13 appointments in an hour. Yeah. And everybody got everything they needed. Nobody got hurt.
Frank, do you think I could share the diagram that you just referred to? I know you shared it with me. I don't know if it's a proprietary information, but we could.
No.
Okay, we can land the link for the listeners here, and then this is the diagram that Frank follows in terms of efficiency and productive work.
I go back to it all the time, Ivan. When I get kind of things are going on around, I say, all right, I got to go back to the home base and look at that. Yep. I've got to make this simpler. I've got to eliminate that barrier. We're handing things off we shouldn't hand off. And you can always make the system better, especially when you get new equipment or new technology. It's like, wow. Because right now, one of the coolest things we're doing, and I'll let you know how it works. We hired a person to be a receptionist. We had her for 6 months. She was incredible. Fit in with everybody, learn the system well. She was supposed to be here for 4 years. Her husband's in the Air Force. They just transferred him from Portsmouth, New Hampshire to Kansas. And she came in tears and said, Frank, I hate to leave. I said, where are you going? She said, we're getting transferred to Kansas. And I said, all right, you're going to be my first remote employee.
That's awesome.
we set up a station in the other room. We called it Kansas, and we got a new phone system so she can actually answer the phone there like she's here and put people on hold, and we can pick it up back here, and she's got access to the computers. We're going to have cameras set up for her. For most clinics, that would have been like tragedy. And I'm saying, now I've wanted a remote employee. You're going to be my first one. So
That's awesome.
That's so cool, Frank. You know, it's really funny that you brought up the Toyota method. I've got 2 children. First one's name is Kai. Second one's name is Zen. And Kaizen is the Toyota method. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So continuous improvement's a big thing. I think it's been so incredible to listen to you speak. The biggest takeaway that I've heard over and over again is the team. You know, you've got a well-oiled machine down there. And, you know, I think it would be really interesting if we could capture a video the next time you're there and post it for our listeners to see as well.
Sure.
They can see all of these things in action. But I really wanted to thank you for sharing everything that you have with us. We'll be sure to include notes and links to everything in the show notes. It was totally awesome to have you. Anything else you want to share with us before we kind of wrap up here?
When I first met Ivan, I showed him what I did. He showed me what he did. And I said, yeah, Ivan gets it. And I get it. But now you got to get everybody else to get it. My son wrote a paper with one of those AVMA competitions, and I think he came in second place. But I think what he wrote about was exactly what Ivan's worried about, the stress that our profession is under. And what I tell my staff, I feel morally obligated to help you guys. I want you to make more money, but I feel like it's almost, who's going to help you in society make more money? Well, it's right here. And if these veterinarians are making money, but they're stressed out, we got to fix that.